Welcome back to the MVP podcast, the People Show, where we talk about the most valuable players in the world of sports. My name is B-Man, and I'm proud to announce that we've got Toronto Raptors' own Mike Roach back on the show again. Boy, how you doing?
Mohammed, I'm good, my brother. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good too, man. I'm doing good. Can you, for the people that are going to watch, can you just let them know what the weather is like over there? Just tell them.
It's hot as hell over here in Toronto right now. I'll say that much. Been that way. It's been that way pretty much all summer. Can't complain. Summer has been really hot. It's been really good over here. Can't complain whatsoever.
We've been up and down, up and down. By the way, I saw one of the clips. I think it was the Game 3 review.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, your daughter wants to join you on the podcast. Why do you not let her?
I'm telling you, when I did the Game 1 review, she was here sitting on the bed. I didn't even get through 10 minutes and she was sleeping. So I said, wow, it must have been really boring. And then she's been back, and you know what? She enjoys just coming in the room kind of and watching me do it.
Yeah.
You never know what she's going to do while I'm recording those. So instead of like kind of shoving it under the table, I just call it out and just roll with it.
That's it. That's authenticity. By the way, congratulations on Nick Nurse winning Coach of the Year. Mm-hmm. Big deal, considering that, you know, from everything that he's been through coming into the league and stuff like that. What do you think he's been getting right to get this kind of recognition in the league?
You know what? Nick Nurse is just, he's a guy who's really been all over the place in regards to his journey. Like, this is a guy who played in college. Then he was in England where he was a player coach in England. Comes back, coaches in the D League, then G League. Wins a title there. He's an assistant in the NBA. Dwayne Casey, you know how tough it must be when Masai Ujiri fires a coach who was the coach of the year.
Exactly.
Thinking about that. You fire the coach of the year, okay? And now you're underneath Dwayne Casey as his assistant, brings you up, and now you win a championship in your first year as head coach. But not just that. You win a championship and you lose your best player after winning a championship. Multiple, you're watching all these different networks, the ESPNs and, the Fox Sports, and you hear all these analysts talk about how the Raptors are going to be absolutely nothing again, right? You lose your best player. You're still second in the Eastern Conference. You have the third overall best record in the league. And you're just putting a hurt on whoever comes in front of you. There's no excuses here. You're winning with your depth. You're winning because the culture is now different in Toronto. And it's not the same soft Raptors from back in the day. They're not going to allow you to run over them anymore because the culture is different. That's unacceptable at this point. Nick Nurse has done all of those things without having a bona fide superstar. So you got to give him credit where it's due. Mm-hmm. He tries a lot of unorthodox offensive and defensive schemes, and they seem to work. So you got to give a whole bunch of credit to Nick Nurse.
Loads. Okay, so now the Brooklyn Nets have been swept by your own Toronto Raptors. Now, they weren't ready, considering the amount of injuries that they had. But from Toronto's perspective, it's like you just play who's in front of you, and that's all you can do, really. So tell me, how did you think the series went? What big thing do you take away from it going into the next series?
Just that the Raptors did what they had to do. I mean, it's absolutely no big deal. Brooklyn has absolutely nobody. It's pretty much what I expected. Brooklyn should not have gotten a game. They have absolutely no one. All they have is Karis LeVert. They have Josh Harris, and he missed the last, I believe, 1 or 2 games.
He did.
They had Jaren Allen in the middle. But, aside from those guys, they have absolutely nobody. They have no Kyrie. They have no KD. They have no Spencer Dinwiddie. And not just that, I mean, you had other players there. Taurean Prince, he wasn't playing. I mean, those guys had absolutely no business winning one game against the Toronto Raptors. Let's really just call it what it is. The Raptors are at full strength. They're confident. All right, they're champions. They know what it takes. So it doesn't surprise me at all that the Raptors went and absolutely waxed Brooklyn whatsoever.
Except for game 2.
Except for game 2. And even in game 2, the Raptors really didn't lead in that game until the fourth quarter.
Exactly.
And when you even watch the game, it's funny because there's so many people who you listen to on the radio the next day and the beat reporters and all that kind of stuff. They could tell you they weren't worried at all in that game.
Wow.
I knew personally that some way, somehow, the Raptors would overcome that deficit because it wasn't much. And this is the mistake that teams can make no matter what sport it is. It's not just in regards to basketball, right? Mm-hmm. If you're playing a championship contender like the Toronto Raptors, you're leading the entire game, right? Even going into the fourth quarter. All right, you may have pushed them down, but if you don't put your foot on their back and crush them and you let them hang around, guess what's going to happen after a while? They're going to come back and punch you in the mouth.
Exactly.
You can't let them hang around at all, because when you let them hang around, they're still going to know that all they have to do, basketball is a game of runs, right? Exactly. You go on a little 5-0 run or a 6-0 run. They score 2. You go on another 6-0 run, 7-0 run. The tables turn, and once the tables turn, that defense turns up, and you're not going to be able to score. That's it. There's a game.
That's it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, Mike, I'm going to throw you some of the names of the players that consistently get a lot of minutes, and just tell me, just grade them on how well you think they did on in the series. So I'll mention the leader of the team first, Kyle Lowry.
Absolute A+. Kyle Lowry came out like a bat out of hell. Okay, Kyle Lowry, it's not just about what he does with his scoring. It's about his defense. It's about him taking charges. It's about him putting his body on the line. It's about him getting into passing lanes. It's about him leading his teammates, getting in guys' faces, make sure that everybody is carrying out the assignment that they're supposed to carry out, right? So it's so much more than just putting the ball in the basket. It's all the other intangibles, the things you can't see on the stat sheet that he brings to the table as well. A+ for Kyle Lowry.
Definitely. I think, do you know what I really respect about Kyle Lowry? It's the fact that he hasn't got the handles like some of the greater point guards in the league. He might not be a dunk artist, but the reality of the matter is he's a certified bowler. And that's all you really need, really.
Straight up.
Exactly. All right, so next
the best way you can put it. He's a certified baller.
He really is. Next one is Fred VanVleet.
Fred VanVleet, A+ for Steady Freddy. Listen.
Why so high?
I've been saying this. They better pay that man.
He's leaving.
Pay that. Listen,
he's leaving.
Fred VanVleet can do no wrong in the city of Toronto. Right? Fred VanVleet is the truth over here. Fred doesn't get scared of any moment. I have never seen Fred VanVleet shrink in any game. Okay? He brings it every time he steps on the floor. All right? Whether it be on offense, he's not as bad on defense as some people may seem to think he is. Fred is just aggressive. He's tough. You know what I mean? It's like Fred is like made out of nails, man. You can't push him around out there. And in clutch moments, he just doesn't get rattled. He's the kind of team that every team would want a guy like Fred VanVleet. And if you even go look it up, that's why guys like Kevin Durant always rave about Fred VanVleet, because anybody who plays against him knows how tenacious and aggressive he is on the court. Fred VanVleet gets an A.
All right, cool. Let's go to the next one. Pascal Siakam.
Pascal Siakam, I'm going to give a B-.
Ooh.
B-.
Do tell.
Pascal, I think he played well, but his offense seems to be lacking at times. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes he can be undisciplined on defense as well. But I think his defense are all right. I think it's just from more of an offensive standpoint and where I want to see him, especially in regards to what he has to do against going up against the Boston Celtics. Offensively, he shoots a lot of threes currently. And I think it may be by design. They kind of want him to get those reps up because they know what kind of series it was against Brooklyn. They know they weren't going to lose against Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure you're going to see as many threes goes up against the Boston Celtics. But to me, it's almost like he was just getting reps and practice up shooting these threes. To me, a lot of them were unnecessary. He was making the game a little bit more difficult than it has to be. Mm-hmm. So instead of kind of forcing the issue, I would like to see the game come a little bit more to him. So I'll give him a B-.
Yeah, I think it's because he wants to wear the label of best player on the team on his badge. And I think with that comes the need to be offensively and defensively. You want to be the guy that it goes through. So I don't blame him so much, but I hope he understands that the system will sort it out for him anyway. He'll get his buckets regardless.
Yeah.
So next one, Marc Gasol.
Marc Gasol. You know what? I'll give Mark a C+.
Okay.
A C+. Marc Gasol's ticking a lot of people off over here. All right.
Really?
Yes. And I'll tell you why. You know what? He's really good, especially like defensively. Marc Gasol is really, really good. Mm-hmm. Like you can't ask him to do any more defensively. But the thing that's annoying people with Marc Gasol, I think at times, is that he's completely lost his confidence in regards to his shot. He's becoming too passive on offense.
Yeah.
And he's passing up a lot of good shots. And I think it's annoying because Marc Gasol, when he has that confidence, can shoot the ball. He is actually a good three-point shooter when the confidence is there. You know what I mean? And when he takes that shot, it stretches the defense out. It forces you to play him honest. And then if you make another quick pass, it gets rid of another help defender, right? So Marc Gasol, he is doing things well in regards to his defense. But I think if he opens up the floor a little bit much, making that three-point shot, even just taking that three-point shot, it can really help some of the other guys out, especially on the wing, get some easier baskets.
Cool. So next one is OG Anunoby.
OG Anunoby, I'll give a B. Okay. I think his defense has been great. I really, really do. I think his offense is where he needs to step it up a little bit more. Mm-hmm. He needs to be able to put the ball in the basket. Now, he's not really a scoring type. But I just think when it comes to a team like the Boston Celtics, it's got to be all hands on deck. You know what I mean? It's not going to be easy to go up against these guys and have terrible shooting nights. Like OG Anunoby, especially when you're going to be out there defensively for a majority of the game, trying to put the clamps on like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. If you can give at least 13 or 14 points consistently on the offensive end, that would be great for the Toronto Raptors because what it does is it's also spreads the floor a little bit more and opens up the lane, especially if they want to play guard heavy, right? So OG Anunoby, I'll give a B to. I'm really looking forward to see what he does probably the most out of anybody in the starting lineup for the Toronto Raptors.
Wicked. All right, then let's move on to Serge Ibaka.
Serge Ibaka, I think I'll give Serge an A. I think Serge really played well. Both ends of the floor. His shooting was decent. The defense was good. Altering a lot of shots at the rim. That rim presence makes guys think twice before they come in there. Yeah. So, Serge is a guy who you also he can be an X factor for you in whatever series that you play in, because I mean, he's just capable of being really, really good on both ends of the floor. I mean, you get productivity from him, and I'm telling you, man, it can really, really change the ball game for you because
Definitely.
he does. I mean, running the floor, his size, his strength, his length. You know what I mean? Just the rim intimidation with, being able to spread the floor at the same time. I mean, I'm telling you, he could really, really be a game changer for the Toronto Raptors if he's consistent with his play.
Hey, he had a massive game in Game 6 last year in the finals. I think he was the one that actually swung it your way. So big props to Serge. And last but not least, Norman Powell.
Norman Powell, I give Norman Powell probably an A. I think he played really good in this series. Started off a little slow maybe in game 1, but they had a lot of help. As the series went on, he actually got better and better. Became a little bit more aggressive. He actually got more time, especially when Lowry went down in the last game. But the biggest thing about Norman Powell with him playing well is confidence. Norman Powell, he can shoot the ball. He can get to the basket. He can finish really strong. Defensively, he's not bad. To me, when it comes to Norman Powell, it's all about defense. It's all about defense and confidence, right? Like his confidence at time when you watch him, it's lacking, right? But when the confidence is there and he catches the ball and you can tell he's not overthinking, he's just playing, that's when he's at his best. And when he does that, he's tough to stop.
Yeah, he is. So now you guys have progressed. So you guys swept Brooklyn, but your next team, Boston Celtics, swept the 76ers. Now, originally, I remember a lot of like these news outlets talking about how the Boston Celtics would be the favorites if they were to meet. Now, Gordon Hayward has gone down since. And that's a massive void for them. Mm-hmm. But there's also a chance that Kyle Lowry might not even play in the first game. But the Raptors are actually now considered the favorites. Do you agree with that?
I would think so, just because of their depth, right? I don't think Boston's bench goes as far as the Raptors does. Mm-hmm. The Raptors have depth, man. I mean, you look at who they have with Fred VanVleet. You did mention Kyle Lowry goes down. But they got a lot of two-way players, right, that have proven themselves in this league already. You look at Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby. You're looking at guys like Norman Powell and Pascal Siakam, Marc Gasol, who I'm not sure if I mentioned him already, but very good defensively. And then you go into their bench. You're seeing guys like who could do stuff like Matt Thomas, who's a really good shooter. And then you're looking at a guy in Terrence Davis Jr., who's very good offensively. You even have a guy who could get a few minutes, Chris Boucher, right, who's not afraid when he gets out there, has a lot of length. And these guys can play. Rondé Hollis-Jefferson, another guy who's versatile, who can defend, right? So the Raptors have the depth. Boston has good players as well all across that squad. I mean, especially when you're looking at guys like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Yeah. Then you're looking at guys like Kemba Walker, Marcus Smart, Theus, who could be a little bit underrated, but he does a lot of good things on the court as well. But you're looking at Williams off the bench over there. Those guys have ballers. Those guys have ballers too.
Definitely.
It's going to be a tough series, but I think the depth chart goes a little bit more in favor of the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah, I read a piece on Norman Powell, and he said since the restart of the bubble, the Toronto Raptors, in terms of production, are clear and beyond the best when it comes down to their bench in point production, defense, and all of that. So I 100% agree with you that so long the bench remains engaged, it should be.
They had a record in Game 4 against Brooklyn. They had 100 points.
I know.
I know. 100 points.
That is big. That's big. Okay, so now let's end on this then. Okay, now I looked at some stats, right? I'm not really a stats head, but I do kind of try and get some flavor from statistics. And both Boston Celtics and the Toronto Raptors are both top 5 elite defenses in the league.
Yep.
Right? So what is your biggest worry, and what are you looking forward to the most?
My biggest worry with the Raptors is strictly their offense. Strictly their offense. I find sometimes guys get stagnant with their offense. As like I was mentioning before, sometimes I think Pascal Siakam can make the game a little bit too hard for himself. Right? I think OG Anunoby at times can't score the ball. He comes up empty shooting and then has trouble putting the ball on the floor, being able to get to the basket, right? So the only issue I would have that I would worry about with the Toronto Raptors is their offense. And sorry, what was the second question?
And which is, what are you looking forward to?
What I'm looking forward to is seeing how the Raptors compete for the first time in a series that really, really means something without Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. I want to see how tough these guys really are. And I want to see just exactly how much the culture has really changed, right? Like, here's the thing. If the Raptors lose the series, they lose the series. But you can't lose the series like some punks.
Definitely not.
You know what I mean? Like, you can't lose like some chumps. You can't go in there and get beat up by the Boston Celtics. You got to go in there and man the hell up. And listen, you gotta play hard, bro. Like, you gotta leave it. You gotta leave this. You gotta leave it on the floor, blood, sweat, and tears. You know what I'm saying? Because we can respect you losing. We can't respect you not trying your hardest. Like, we know if you're gonna be out there playing your heart out. You know what I'm saying? And we can accept that. But like I'm saying, we're not gonna tolerate the Raptors going out there and playing soft. You know what I mean? So give everything they have. We want to see your toughness. And with this series right here, without Kawhi Leonard for the first time, going up against a real opponent since he's been gone, the Boston Celtics, I want to see exactly how much the culture has changed.
Yeah, I 100% feel you. I always say this all the time, that if you put everything on the line, even if you lose, you can keep your head high. And that's right. The reality of the matter.
And by the way, I believe the culture has changed. I mean, we've seen it thus far already by the way they've played in the regular season and thus far in the playoffs. But this right here is the test.
The real test.
This is the test. Yeah.
And they're ready. And just like you guys, they've got an amazing coach, brilliant starting lineup, good defenses, good offenses. It's going to be amazing. I know it's going to be amazing. But Mike, thank you so much for coming on, man. I love listening to you.
Thank you, Muhammad. I appreciate you, man. And listen, man, you don't have to wait months again to have me on the show, you know.
No, we'll do it again at the end of the second series. How about that?
Yeah, but I gotta remember, I still gotta get you guys on the show. I got some questions for you guys now.
Take time. We're always ready, man. We're always ready. Yeah. We're ready. All right. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please leave a like on the video, and we'll be back again soon. Thank you, Mike. Peace.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, man.